Before we wrap this section up, I want to answer a really common question that comes up. And that is, what should I do if I'm writing for multiple avatars? What if the product or service I'm selling serves 2 or 3 different groups? How do I approach my research and writing the copy? Well, firstly, it depends. What do you mean by multiple avatars? Sometimes what you're talking about is that you have to write a page, for example, that serves different levels of awareness. And remember, that means some people may come to the same piece of sales copy ready to buy. They come and all they want to see is an offer and a price and maybe a bit of reassurance. Whereas other people aren't convinced at all and they're going to need to read a lot of copy. So how do you cater for both of those in the same piece of copy? Well, the first thing to do is that you should be writing to the majority group that you're most likely to convert. So like 25-30% of people the 25 to 30% of visitors that you are most likely to convert. And generally that means a higher level of awareness. Because the aim of the game really is to convert people, to make them click or buy or whatever you're trying to get them to do. So it makes sense to target the people who are most likely to do that. But if those people are a tiny minority, then it's not worth doing it. That's why I say write to the majority group. So there needs to be enough of them. So the biggest group basically that you can find that's as close as possible to the top of the market awareness hierarchy. Now, another thing you can do, or you can do it in tandem, is to break out content for less aware prospects into a separate page. So if you do have all sorts of traffic landing on your page, some that needs to read a lot of copy and some that just needs to see an offer or a buy button, what you can do is have a little bit of teaser copy and say read more. So if that is for people who are needing to read more copy to be convinced, they can click that, but other people aren't burdened down by it. And if you look in the bonus videos attached to this course, you will find a review that I did. It's titled With Market Awareness, a review that I did of a homepage where I talked about this and made some suggestions with exactly how to deal with this problem. It's very common when you're writing website homepages to have this problem because they catch all kinds of traffic. And a third technique you can use, and again, it's not exclusive, is to use subheads to tell the whole story in your copy, to make it skimmable. And a lot of copywriters preach this, right? They say, oh, the subheads should tell the story. And then they don't. If you just read their subheads, they just highlight exciting phrases, but they don't really tell the story, and that always confuses me. I make it a really big point in my copy. When you read one of my sales letters and you just read the subheads, you can get the whole story. And so I am very careful with any kind of copy I do to write it that way because I know people sometimes just want to skim. And so people who don't want to skim, they can read the details in between the subheads. Those who already know it can just skip past the subhead. So that is a third strategy you can use. Now, what about if we're not just talking about different levels of awareness, but we truly do have different avatars that we're writing to? That is a tougher problem. Well, by that I mean we're talking about people with different identity, different problems, different dreams, different obstacles, and that is not ideal. So the first thing I recommend doing in that case always is to split your research into different groups. And you will see that I have upcoming in this course something called the Customer Zukan document, which is how I organize my research. And I recommend you do a new one for each new group that you are working with, each new avatar. So keep the research separate. Secondly, if your avatars are close enough, you can sometimes squeeze them into the same copy. And that you will just have to do things like, so if you're a copywriter, that means X. And if you're a business owner, that means Y. It's not ideal, but sometimes people don't want to pay for new sales letters. And so you have to do that. But if the avatars are different, and if they are significantly different, it may make sense to just write separate pages. I have recommended that to clients often. And in that case, what you can do is have a home landing page where all the traffic lands, and then there's like 3 options there, and you get them to click to sort into a bucket. And then the copy is tailored to them. So that is another way you can approach this. Whatever you do, you should not have more than 3 of these core avatars. And really, 1 is the best number to be writing for. It is not ideal. So there are a few approaches you can take if you have to deal with different avatars or different levels of awareness.